Hi, I'm Seonyoung from Yonsei University. Today I'm going to talk about my work, DaCapo, Automatic Bootstrapping Management for Efficient Fully Homomorphic Encryption. Nowadays, with the rapid growth of cloud services, users can easily use the computing power offered by the cloud services. To utilize the cloud, users encrypt their data and send it to the cloud. And the cloud processes the data and returns the result to the user. Then users get the result by decrypting it. To process the data, the cloud should decrypt the data. Therefore, the cloud can read the user's private data, so an attacker on the cloud side can steal it. To keep their private data, users can employ fully homomorphic encryption. FHE allows the cloud server to compute the data without decrypting it. Therefore, users can protect their data through FHE even if the attacker is on the cloud side. There are various types of FHE. Among them, this work targets the CKK scheme. This scheme supports approximate fixed point arithmetic, so it's suitable for deep learning applications. I will explain CKK's parameters with the example of encrypting 1.1. CKK converts the fixed point number to an integer by multiplying a large integer called scale. In the example, we multiply 1.1 by 100 to get a scaled value of 110, where is the 100 is the scale. The scaled value is added to the encryption key and then encrypted into a ciphertext. The encryption key limits scaled value to maximum capacity, which is called coefficient modulus. The coefficient modulus is the product of scale units, and the number of units is called level. In this example, the coefficient modulus is 10 to 4, which is the same as scale unit 10 to the power of level 4. Then, let's look at ciphertext multiplication. During multiplication, the scales of the ciphertext are accumulated into a result scale. If the scales of operands are large, no scale budget is left for the following operations. If the scale exceeds the budget, the result will be corrupted. To use the scale capacity efficiently, we reduce the level from 4 to 3 before multiplication. Lowering the level is like dividing the scaled value by the scale unit. Then, reducing the level allows more multiplications. Repeated multiplications eventually consume all available levels. When all available levels are used up, further multiplication cannot proceed. So, we need a process of recovering the consumed levels back to the maximum level, which is called bootstrapping. To support unlimited multiplications, bootstrapping is an essential operation. However, bootstrapping is the most time-consuming among CKK's operations. Its latency is about 100 times slower than multiplication. I will explain the impact of bootstrapping on program using an example. Assume the maximum level is 4, and operations cannot proceed if the level drops below 1. The first multiplication produces the result A, dropping the level of x from 4 to 3. The second multiplication produces the result B, dropping the level of A from 3 to 2. To multiply B by the weighted data, W0 and W1, the levels of C0 and C1 are dropped from 2 to 1. In the case of addition, levels are not consumed, so the level of result D is the same as C. However, the level cannot be dropped for the last multiplication because the ciphertext level cannot be below 1. In this situation, bootstrapping is required. To correctly execute this program, bootstrappings can be inserted on C0 and C1. In this example, the number of bootstrapping is 2. Instead, if bootstrapping is inserted on B, the number of bootstrappings become 1. This plan has lower latency than the first one due to the reduced number of bootstrapping. Because of the large overhead of bootstrapping, the impact of this modification is very large. Thus, to optimize the latency, it is important to reduce the number of bootstrappings. Here, we focus on the impact of other CK case operations on programs. Let's modify the example a little like blue box. We calculate C by multiplying A and B, and multiply C by 100 ways to D0 through D99, and accumulate them to E. In this case, D0 through D99 are computed at level 2, since level 2 multiplication and addition take 6 and 2 time units. This accumulation takes 800 latency. But lowering this part to level 1 only takes 400. However, the last multiplication cannot be executed because the level is lower than 1. Adding bootstrapping to E provides optimization chances to reduce the levels of the other operations. By reducing the levels of this part to level 1, the latency can be cut down from 800 to 600, even though we have one additional bootstrapping. As a result, the plan below has better overall latency. This is our key observation. When the latency of other CK case operations is dominant, lowering the level can be beneficial even with the large bootstrapping overhead. So, we have to consider the latency of CK case operations when placing bootstrapping. I will introduce the solutions for the challenges. First, this work proposes Leibniz-based candidate selection to reduce the number of bootstrappings. Leibniz analysis determines whether a variable defined before a certain program point is still live or has become dead. Bootstrapping all live ciphertext at a program point initializes the levels for the entire program. DaCapo analyzes a number of live ciphertexts at each program point. At program points P1, P3, and P5, there is only one live ciphertext, and program point P2 has 2 live vaults, and P4 has 100 live vaults. If we choose P2 or P4 as a candidate, the program will need to bootstrap twice or 100 times at that point. To reduce the number of bootstrapping, DaCapo sets the points P1, P3, and P5 with few live vaults as candidates. As a second solution, this work proposes latency-aware bootstrapping placement to consider other CK chaos operations. DaCapo applies dynamic programming based on the selected candidate points. First, there is only one plan to get from X to P1. So the best plan until P1 is this plan, and estimated latency is 3. Next, there are 2 plans get from X to P3, one without bootstrapping and one with bootstrapping at P1. To estimate the latency of the second plan, DaCapo reuses the latency of the best plan to P1, 3, and also adds bootstrapping latency 200, and latency from P1 to P3, 9. DaCapo selects best plan until P3 as the first plan, which has the lowest latency. In the same way, DaCapo selects the best plan until P5 as bootstrapping at P3 with 621 latency. However, it is impossible to reach P5 from X without bootstrapping, so plans from X are not considered. Finally, DaCapo finds the best plan to return and selects the last plan with 824 latency and inserts bootstrappings at P3 and P5. This approach reduces exploration space and finds the best plan on given candidates efficiently. We implemented DaCapo on top of MLIR compiler infrastructure. This work compared the performance of manual placement with 6 deep learning models with ReLU and SILU activations. The manual baseline followed the manual bootstrapping placement scheme of the state-of-the-art. Comparing the inference time of single cipher10 image, DaCapo achieves 20% speedup than the manual placement results. An interesting point here is the MobileNet ReLU case. In this graph, the white bars represent bootstrapping latency. Manual inserts bootstrapping 53 times, while DaCapo does it 61 times. But the overall latency of DaCapo is faster than manual. Frequent bootstrapping makes operations between bootstraps run at lower levels, so fewer bootstrappings are not always best planned. Therefore, latency-aware bootstrapping placement is crucial for optimizing the overall latency. In conclusion, this work proposes DaCapo, the first automatic bootstrapping management compiler for CKKS. And this work achieves 20% speedup compared with state-of-the-art manual scheme. For more detail, please refer to the paper and GitHub code. Thank you for listening.